Good morning, Father. This is Samo Daniel. What I learned from the video you shared with us from Doctor, I was able to learn that migration has been there since time memorial and is part of the human history. And migration is the movement of people across borders. And since it involves individuals and nations, there's always tension that is created between the nations. And there's need to acknowledge that human dignity must be respected as we deal with the question of immigration. And since human dignity must be respected and there's the involvement of humanity in this movement, then the issue of migration should be treated with the information, and the discussion should be treated with honesty. And what we shouldn't forget that migration is a choice. And the ethical questions that come up are who chooses, who decides to move in a family, for individuals, or for the groups. The ethical questions also that come up when people move across the borders. Should migration be controlled? If not, who should? Then the cost implications, the financial implications. And then we need to know that migration also is a product of unpredictable factors. We went ahead to know that migration is a complex factor because of the humanity bit, and a lot of ethical questions come out and morality at the end of the day as we discuss migration issues. And the ethical questions that came out are the costs of immigration, leaving the monetary bit aside, but the issue on the lives of the people. And then we went ahead to look at the reasons why people move, why people are moving across the borders. The issue of search for food, the issue of wanting to pursue their dreams, those ones running under danger in terms of disasters. We went ahead to analyze the push and the pull factors that force people to move, where the pull factors were seen as the attractive ones, and then the push are those ones which are chasing people out of their areas, out of their habitual areas. We cited some examples of the pull where we have employment, some of the young youth wanting to achieve their dreams after finishing school and what. On the push, we saw poverty coming up and many other reasons, but because of the minutes you gave us that we should summarize this whole 1 hour and a half discussion. We went into the theories where we had the individual theory or the approach, where the structure, where the perspective, where the network, and the systematic. The individual theory focuses more on individual choices, where families and at times the groups, or at times where it's called the human approach, because it looks on employment, skills, life investment. We cited the example of the green cards and the Canada approach, where people with skills are always at a higher chance to get these opportunities. Then the structure, it deals with the influence that is more on the social, economical, and political pressure and employment. Then the network deals with more than just decision and the structure forces, and it goes more into the movement of goods across. Scholars have gone ahead to critique or to argue the issue of gender in immigration. Now we are seeing women as key factors in the movement, where women are involved in the trafficking channels, where women are seeking for refugee resettlement to the third countries. Also, the issue of vulnerability was discussed, where people have been put at a risk into the new modern movement of people being trafficked by the cartels, and it's expensive, and it has led most people to be in debt bonds. It has led people to lose their lives. It has led people to be promised false jobs. It has led to even trafficking body organs. It has gone ahead to people being even carried in containers. That's how risky the immigration issue has come. We looked at why countries are going ahead to control migration. But as they control migration, also migration has its own benefits, and it has its own impacts on the countries. We went ahead to discuss the different categories of countries the different categories of countries, like the receiving countries, the sending countries, the countries in transit. When we discuss the different countries, there's the issue of the cost that we should expect for all the countries and the benefits each country gets at the end of the day. For the receiving country, for the sending countries, for example, there are a lot of impacts these countries have. The decisions that are guiding the immigration. Then the issue of the boundaries that should be monitored, and the exit permits that are given by the sending countries. Then there's the issue of the incentives that are offered to those who are pursuing to go overseas, so that they should remain in the country. That's for the sending countries. Then there's the issue of the citizenship, where some countries have gone ahead to know that immigrants are a key component to their country, and they've gone ahead to acknowledge them and giving them dual citizenship, like Uganda, Kenya, Mexico, and Rwanda, because of the component of the remittances that come back, where Uganda is second and Kenya is third when it comes to, in terms of the remittances. Then there are also some losses that are seen for the sending countries, like energy and skill is lost. Some towns have been left as ghosts, especially like in Mexico, and this has even forced US to start building to build the wall in order to control migration. Then when you go to the receiving countries or the countries in transit, the receiving countries, where I would discuss it in terms of immigration. The ethical questions: do we need to close the borders? And the relationship between the countries also matters at the end of the day. The cost of closing the borders, the human capital, the geography, the political will to close, and the preference of the migrants that come to our countries. I want to rush because of the time. Then the benefits of the influx of the labor and capital and innovation that come through. There's the issue of culture that also comes up. Then the migrants also pay taxes that support the national system in being able to render services for the citizens and the migrants. But the other question: do migrants get all these services? Because at the end of the day, even if they're paying taxes. Then there's also the issue of family reunion, because whenever these people cross and go there, say some are going to meet their family members, which strengthen their family ties. The escrow question to the sending countries is the compensations. Do they compensate the countries that are sending? Because these countries are losing their brains, their, their youth who have been already trained, who have been invested in terms of education. Then the migrants who are paying taxes yet do not benefit from all of it. These are the ethical questions that we should be asking ourselves at the end of the day. Then when we go to the transit countries, there's a lot with the transit countries. There's the drain of resources and conflict, most times, between the host community and the migrants. An example like of Kenya. And then also there's some benefits that these countries get at the end of the day. That was what I was able to record, and I've gone 1 hour more than what you had requested us.